vomiting, diarrhea, those could all make food no longer enjoyable or palatable. Oftentimes we make choices on what to eat by our senses. You may be inclined to choose one food over another if you get a whiff of, a yummy aroma, or maybe you have had food before and you loved the way it tasted before. If you've had COVID, those senses may be altered. Actually, it was in a friend of mine who had COVID a few weeks ago. She lost her sense of smell. So if it hurts to swallow, for example, you might not have a desire to eat out of pain. Or maybe you chose a food like a soup that requires less chewing or swallowing for those reasons. In general, you may lose your interest in food. Shortness of breath, body aches, headaches, or just plain uncomfortable. And they can make you lose your interest in food, can suppress your appetite. All in all, these can lead to a decrease in food consumption, at which point your body is not getting the necessary fluids or foods needed to sustain itself. Julie, I think, has briefly touched upon overconsumption during this pandemic. I can say I am the exact opposite. If I feel poorly mentally or physically, I get sick to my stomach and I have no appetite, so I would underconsume nutrients. At which point I would suggest what we call nutrition 911 foods. Basically, don't feel the need to eat a full course meal if you are feeling unwell. If you are stressed, eat a few foods you know usually do not make you sick. Everybody usually will have that one go-to food like a waffle, cereal, or an apple. Mine is Cheerios, which I will eat when I have a break between online classes. Next slide here. If you do not have COVID and you are on campus, there are options for you even during this pandemic, which you may already be aware of, but it's good to reiterate. While dining services are available, they have changed. Certain stations may not be open due to the risk of contamination in those dining halls, and to-go is the only option. Menus are available online just by typing in where to eat, NIU, and selecting the dining hall or food establishment you will be dining at. These give useful information on allergens as well as calories, sodium, fat, and other nutrients. This contributes to the concept of mindful eating, which I will be talking about a little later. Virtual tools at your disposal. Hopefully this allows you to kind of plan ahead and have a general idea of what foods you are planning to consume even before you step foot into the dining hall, which can help you make healthier choices. Even if you're not hungry yet, you have a meal and you have a meal plan, get the food anyway and take it back to your room. Keep it in your fridge for later in the day, maybe when you're feeling hungry. Since the dining halls have very limited hours, you don't want to miss a meal and be hungry when they're not serving. Between dining halls and restaurants, there's an increase in food delivery. In the cases of delivery, chain restaurants, much like the dining halls, specifically will have nutritional information on their website, which again is a great tool to help you make informed decisions regarding your food choices. So hopefully you can all see this. I'm using the virtual version, the phone version, but it should be working. So this is MyPaw, which is a tool we often use in the dining halls specifically, and with NIU in general, regarding kind of what a balanced meal looks like. These 5 components make up the major food groups that your body needs, especially during a time of stress, much like that's seen during this pandemic. In general, there are recommendations that we might suggest to best ensure that you're getting the necessary nutrients your body needs. And they're kind of as follows. We try to make half your plate a combination of fresh fruits and vegetables. Try to make half your grains whole grains, like whole grain pasta, whole grain bread, brown rice, quinoa, etc. Try to choose low-fat or fat-free milks, yogurts, cheeses. Those are all good options. Try to eat a variety of protein sources. When we think of protein, we often think of meat, but protein can be found in other sources as well, like beans, peas, nuts, seeds, soy, eggs, dairy products. I could go on. Consider a diet maybe heavier. If you are considering a diet heavier in meat, maybe choosing white meat, as it is lower in fat than like a red meat source. And we would suggest maybe drinking or eating foods with less sodium, saturated fat, or sugars. I would suggest limiting caffeine consumption. It can make you alert for those late night study sessions, but it can decrease calcium absorption and ultimately lead to dehydration, among other health concerns, kind of creating like a snowball effect. Really just try to stay hydrated, try to drink water or sugar-free seltzers if you can. So with that said, after you leave NIU, a similar tool to kind of MyPaw would be MyPlate on the USDA's website, which is it's kind of a standardized tool used by the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. If you wanted additional information, I would suggest referencing the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics webpage, as well as the CDC, the World Health Organization. They have general guidelines for eating during a pandemic as well on their websites, which kind of reiterates a lot of the information I've covered on this slide. To next slide. So social wellness may be challenging right now. If you are new to campus, maybe you don't know anyone due to the virtual setting, you haven't been able to be acquainted with your peers yet. Individuals tend to eat differently in groups with their friends rather than by themselves. With social peer pressure now removed from the eating experience, you may be inclined to eat less or maybe different types of foods than you normally would. And dining with others in general can be a bonding experience. For me personally, I would try to eat with my roommate that first week and we would get to know each other and their friends kind of break the ice, but that isn't quite the same this year. So, but that doesn't mean you can't not eat with your friends. Eating virtually with friends or eating with friends while complying with CDC guidelines may promote healthier food choices and promote a more relaxed eating environment. A relaxed environment reduces stress and allows for less adverse health effects, kind of like what we had talked about, like nausea, vomiting, just general discomfort that can sometimes come with stress eating. Emotional wellness, the emotional wellness component, building relationships is in general a challenge, especially for students that maybe don't have those established friendship bases here, but it's a lot harder with the pandemic. But statistically, conversing or doing an activity while eating can actually stimulate food intake. So with that said, my best advice would be to try it virtually. Plan a lunch with colleagues or friends virtually using whatever social media platform works for you, maybe Snapchat or for me, FaceTime, just to keep that social interaction going. Next slide. So we've kind of danced around the subject of stress and, its impact on food, but let's get into a bit more of kind of the specific stressors one may face as a student during a pandemic. So adapting to a completely virtual learning experience can be stressful and overwhelming in and of itself. In many cases, or in many classes, you don't get that learning engagement, the interaction, or the real-time feedback with instructors that would otherwise you might have had in those face-to-face settings. There can be technical failures, more time management and planning on the part of the student. And in some courses, you may miss out on those hands-on experiences you would get in a classroom. With all the information, or I guess lack of, that we get in the news daily, it can be challenging to stick to your pre-existing values and schedules. Maybe you lose some of that confidence with this shift to online learning. This shift in spiritual wellness can cause, stress, which may cause someone to overconsume or underconsume nutrients, as we've discussed. Maybe you worry about your purpose at university, about finding a job after school in this global pandemic. That's a great reflection on your occupational wellness. If you get behind in your courses, maybe your grades are impacted. This can cause stress as well, or anxiety, which can alter food consumption. The quality of food, the quantity of food, and the type of food you choose can vary under stressful conditions. This could cause weight changes, could cause stomach distress, nausea, vomiting, or just a general uninterest in food. And again, this is where, in that case, we would stress those Nutrition 911 foods if you really are feeling poorly. So, yeah, okay. So there are a lot of things, as evidenced, that stress us out, especially during global pandemic. Stress eating is a common mechanism that I have seen personally in the student population, pandemic or not, quite honestly. The question becomes, therefore, how do we fight that stress eating? How do we combat it? If nothing else, the major piece of advice I can offer is to make sure to balance work or school and leisure time. While it can be, convenient in the moment to eat and do work at the same time, this may be too distracting and it could impact the foods that you are choosing to eat. Setting time to relax and eat your lunch or dinner without doing work simultaneously, best way, at least for me, to relieve stress. If you start getting into the area of inconsistent meal times and snacking throughout the day, which is common with all these schedule changes brought on by virtual learning, it can make it all the more stressful. In a lot of individuals, quite frankly, the schedules we once had that we kind of adhered to, they are gone. They're not quite the same, and we're adapting. Really, I guess, advice I can give is try to make your own schedule. But whatever schedule you make, really try to stick with it. Allow yourself an hour per activity. Don't try to stick with a quote unquote normal schedule. Make a schedule for yourself that feels right for you. Everybody's definition of normal is different. Don't think that you have to have a full 3 meals, 2 snacks, full plate every meal. Make what works for you. Another major piece of advice I can offer is to consider trying to implement a delay strategy. So which we call a delay strategy. Snacking can be a great way to keep up your energy and to stay alert. However, too much snacking, particularly on foods high in sugar or sodium, can have adverse health effects. If nothing else, imagine that sugar buzz versus a sugar crash. Not great for late night studying. If you have the need to munch, like what we would call mindlessly eating, try to delay munching for at least 10 minutes and maybe use those 10 minutes to do an activity you like, such as puzzles, TV watching, just taking a hot shower, etc. I could go on and on. And hopefully after those 10 minutes, the urge to eat would have subsided. If not, then we encourage mindful eating, which the definition of mindful eating is to be aware of the way in which you select food, prepare that food, and feel when you're consuming that food. It's something we encourage at the rec. Something we encourage is to kind of write out your food choices for the day, or maybe take a picture of your food and then take a step back at the end of the day. At what point, ask yourself, how do you feel about the choices you've made? How do you feel when you consumed it? Were you bored, happy, etc.? These are things we consider when working towards mindful eating. And it really comes down to putting thought into your choices instead of grabbing those chips while staring at your computer screen. In other words, mindless eating. As I mentioned this earlier with the dining hall or restaurants regarding planning before you go in to get your food with the online menus, planning ahead can help promote that mindful eating. You're in control as to the foods you consume, and like the food log, you can take a step back and really see what foods you're consuming, and that may impact your food choices. Okay, now move on. Thanks. So for many individuals, COVID-19 has brought with it financial limitations and challenges. If finances are strained due to unemployment or other factors, consider buying canned or frozen fruits or vegetables, etc., instead of fresh. Rinsing canned fruit or vegetables to remove that excess sugar or sodium that kind of coats it to preserve it can prove to be a healthy and more economical option for many individuals, especially those that live alone and are cooking for one. This food lasts longer in the freezer or dry storage if canned and can often be more economical. At the end of the day, if it's between canned or frozen and not eating fruit or vegetables at all, choose the canned or frozen option. So, some general tips and tricks that I may recommend in a coaching session, for example. Set aside 30 minutes to an hour a day taking a walk to a store, or walking around the block. Take a bus or drive to the store. Just walk around to stimulate physical activity, to just change your environment and just to be social, even if it's just for an hour of the day. Hall menus on the NIU Dining webpage, or look at the restaurant menu from in town. This can allow you to, plan ahead what meals you'll consume throughout the day. And also going in with kind of like a battle plan can help you stick to a healthier routine. While everything is okay in moderation, temptation for the unlimited pizza, fries, and chicken tenders are absolutely real. Schedule yourself a 30-minute to maybe like an hour break between assignments or online lessons to kind of get a quick snack in. Granola, for example, buying a big bag of granola and then pre-portioning it into little snack baggies, and then one big gallon bag. Stick the whole bag in the pantry, and then you can just grab it and go, so you don't have to think about it. Stay hydrated throughout the day. That's a big one, by keeping a water bottle at your desk. Having the water bottle in front of you can be kind of like a friendly reminder to yourself to keep drinking water. Snacks can give you energy throughout the day. So start your day off with a banana and peanut butter, for example, to get carbohydrates, protein, and fat that you need to keep your energy up, or to get like kind of a late night boost. Some examples of snacks that I would recommend usually would be like granola bar, cereal, bagels, honestly, like nuking a sweet potato in the microwave, yogurt with oats, oatmeal, maybe some celery and some hummus, some tangy hummus, apple with peanut butter. Those are just a few examples. I could go on and on. So kind of like last two tips to consider, which are tips that I've honestly used, that I've utilized, particularly during the lockdown we had back in March. But consider taking up a new hobby related to nutrition. Now is the time to get creative and stimulate your intellectual wellness. Try making cupcakes or bread, or decorate some sugar cookies, or watch some YouTube videos to get some help from a nutrition coach to learn some easy new cooking skills while you're home. I'm going to plug meal planning in again here. Meal planning can help save time. Prepping food ahead of time when you feel good in anticipation of a day, maybe when you feel poorly, is something we often will tell clients. Really planning the types of foods you will make for the week, even maybe before you're going to the grocery store, so you have a list in hand and you have, like, again, that battle plan ready to go.
All right. Thank you so much, Eva, on all the information on nutrition. I'm going to take over the rest of the presentation, and I'd just like to say how much great information the nutrition team has to offer. You can meet a nutrition coach or one-on-one, and I think that it's great experience. I've done it before in my graduate assistant position, to just kind of do a mock one, and they really dive deep and can try to meet all your needs. And yeah, so overall, here are some resources that you have access to as students. And so the first is counseling and consultation services, and they do have counseling and psychiatrists and that kind of stuff there. And then student wellness, and that is who we are. And as I stated, I am Julie, and I am a graduate assistant here at Student Wellness, and we've been putting on all the presentations on Mondays. And we do a number of other things for students, and you can even request presentations as well for your class or organization. The next one is nutrition coaching, as we've kind of talked about, and there is a website to learn more. Then campus dining services, and so you can explore all the menus on campus that are available and open. I personally found this extremely beneficial when I was in undergrad here, because I myself, I tried to live a healthier type of lifestyle. And by doing that, a lot of it does come with the eating aspect. And so I was able to explore all the options on campus and kind of plan ahead. And when I planned ahead, I found myself actually sticking to a routine, which was super fun. The recreation center, which they do have nutrition there, and then also it is the center, and you have access to the equipment, and I believe now they are allowing you to rent out the equipment for a short period of time. The Community Counseling Training Center, you can receive free counseling as a community member and student. And lastly is the Husky Food Pantry. So they are open on Thursdays to and you are not able to have a meal plan to use other services, but it is a resource on campus and it is at the Chick Evans Field House from 5 to 7 p.m. on Thursdays. And then just a little flyer. So if you have stuck with us on the last few weeks, this is not new information, but so this is a part of the Coping Through COVID-19, a self-care webinar series. As you can see, we are on the third to last webinar. So next week is tips to move more and be active. And then the last one of the semester is going to be how to be financially prepared. And if you could please take our survey, it would mean a lot to us here at Student Wellness and Nutrition. If you could go ahead and take it and let us know how we're doing and if you learned anything new. And this information is helpful to us because we are catered to you guys and to hear your thoughts. And if you want to learn anything else, please just let us know. And we can definitely have that in consideration for next semester. So if you are here because of a class, or what teachers have been doing is if you fill out the survey, it counts as your attendance. And if anyone has any last minute questions, you can go ahead and just stay after and we can answer them for you. I'll be here with Eve. And yeah, just thank you so much for joining us. We very much appreciate it and have had a great time doing this, guys. So if you do have any questions or you want to learn more about a type of resource, I just turn on my camera because then you can see my face and then I'd be happy to help you. And Eve is here as well. I'm not going to tell her to turn on her camera or anything unless she wants to, but she is also here to help.
Yes, I'm here. I can't do camera, but yes, I'm here.